Continuation of the fact that this is the longest operating active courthouse in the state of Michigan. Welcome all of you to our meeting today. With that, it will be pretty normal. We'll start with roll call.
Commissioner Thunder? Here. Commissioner Jarvis? Here. Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Commissioner Schneider?
Here.
Commissioner Henning?
Here. With that, we'll go to opening prayer by Commissioner Miller and ask Commissioner Schneider to lead us through.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to have the opportunity to meet in such an exquisite, beautiful building on such a nice day. We ask that as we sit here in these hallowed halls, that you will allow us to help us, guide us with your decision, with the decisions of the county, picking the wisest decisions and decisions best for the county as well as for the constituents of the county. We ask that you keep all those in pain and mourning in your heart today and ask for their peace. We say all this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the agenda before us. I believe we have requests for two additions, one from the Road Commission and the other one from administration. Any others that I'm not aware of?
I will move the agenda with those additions.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed, no. Okay. We now have our regular board minutes for September 22nd. Is there a motion? Support. Motion and support. Any discussion? Corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. And there should be, and I see folders passing around for commissioners. Any topics that need to, based on what's up, please report something. If you see any, and then we'll go to elected officials and department heads for updates. This is our tradition.
Good morning. A few updates for everybody today. First off, I did receive a phone call just before the meeting today from the State Department of Agriculture. And there's been one case of avian flu found in the county. I don't know exactly where, so there's one. I did ask if there was an impact for humans on that. She said no, pretty much not at all. So there was one case of a human infection in the United States this year, so there's one in the country. So the risk is low to us, but I believe that's going to be the health department meeting, but they did let me know as well. So there was that. As far as the legal water emergency, you've seen that they declared it over now. As far as that goes, but the work still continues because now we're on the paperwork side of things. We did hold a Section 19 briefing yesterday at my office with Elmont Village, Emily City, and Pierce City Road Commission Health Department. Section 19 is the reimbursement phase of the governor's declaration of emergency for the county of Lapeer. So we have until later this month to get all the paperwork in for reimbursement, and I have a lady from the state finance, MSP, show up to go over all that with us. So we knew the parameters, the thresholds, the dollar amounts, and all that sort of thing there, so we got all that together. So with that, I have a resolution I got to put together and get before you folks next week in order to apply for a reimbursement fund. So I'll put that resolution together. And on that resolution will be included the Health Department and the Road Commission for the county. So Emily City and Elmont and Lapeer City have to apply separately. They're their own political subdivision. Road Commission falls under us because they're not a political subdivision. So I'll be getting that before you next week so we can get some funds back. Also, I did see in the news this morning, the city of Flint, I guess, is going to start reconnecting into the Green water system, I believe today. Fingers crossed that nothing bad happens when that connection starts and the water's flowing back through. We don't have any pressure changes or anything like that. It's breaking other mains. Hopefully everything goes well there. Also, second annual dispatch awards will be this month. I'd like to invite the board, if you'd like to join us, it'll be October 18th at 2 p.m. at the basement of my office there. We'll be giving awards to some of my dispatchers as well as 2 Lapeer City police officers and 2 medics from Lapeer County EMS on a life-saving event we had just a couple of months ago. So if you like refreshments and cake, family, friends, employees will also be invited as well. And that's all I have at the moment, if anybody has any questions.
So I was looking at the report that you had sent out last week, I think. And it looks like your numbers are steadily going up as far as number of calls. And what? 6 months ago, you put in, I think, 2 more stations. So is that something that you're anticipating in the near future as far as more growth, or you think you're good for a while?
Growth as in personnel or equipment? Personnel. At the moment, I think we're doing good. I have something else I'm working on. You guys will see soon. But as far as number of personnel, I think we're going to remain about the same.
I would say good job to you and your staff. It looks like, according to, let's say, the numbers, it looks like you're a couple, at least a couple thousand, maybe more than that, additional per year.
It varies. You try and sit there and look at those numbers, the phone calls we get at 911 and all that stuff. It's hard to really quantify how, why, unless you can come up with a major event like weather. It's usually the big one that'll lose the numbers in any given month because of the number of phone calls we get. When the wires go down, the tree limbs go down, that's our busiest, most insane times is when those windstorms tornadoes flow through the area. So aside from that, some of the other things that I noticed, you can kind of go into the spooky realm and say, full moons will cause police officers, medics, firefighters, dispatchers, water. I'm telling you, there's a full moon out there, things go a little crazy. But you got that sort of thing. But when it gets really, really hot, humid in the summer, we do notice an uptick of more intense incidents, if you will, in the county. People getting in arguments and just, the weather plays a big factor. To quantify how or why it is difficult unless there's a major event. So we just gotta take it as it comes.
I did a quick question for you. I was just curious, I think this might be one of the first times we've had you since your role shift with emergency management. So I'm just curious, how has that been going? Kind of pretty smooth transition?
Yeah, it's, like we spoke about that before, Mary and I, we overlapped in many areas, so exposure for me in the emergency management side was there. And nobody knew that I was going to have a prolonged emergency happening. All in all, it went well. I will say it is keeping me exceptionally busy. Both roles, a lot more meetings, a lot more paperwork, a lot of that kind of thing there. So it is very busy, but so far I'm managing it pretty well, I think.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. A reminder to both the board and any speakers, we're in here without any sound system, so we need probably to speak louder than normal and project so people can hear. Okay, other departments that wish to present. Any comments?
Good morning, Commissioners. A couple of, two items from CMH that are quite exciting. The first one, our IPS Individual Placement Program. That's a specialized evidence-based support employment program for persons with a serious and persistent mental illness. We started our program probably about a year and a half ago. We took a case manager, made him a lead staff, hired a couple part-time staff. Then this summer, the commission approved those part-time staff to move to full-time, which allowed us to apply to the state for a certification. So we passed our initial certification visit, so we're one of 25 state certified employment programs in the state, so we're very proud of that and proud of the staff that are working on that program. Kevin Mounts, the lead staff who took responsibility for putting things together, I give him all the credit. He did all the legwork and hard work to make it happen. So. And then the other exciting news is on September 30th, we received notice. Some of you already know, you got a preview last week with position requests. I was unable to be here because it was Atlantic. But we were awarded the Samson federal grant to become a certified community behavioral health center. That gives us an additional $1 million a year over a 4-year period. A total of just under $4 million was what was approved. That will allow us to expand services. But more importantly, it allows us to provide better, more evidence-based services to the people we serve. We'll be rolling out some integrated healthcare programs. One's called Dimensions Well Body. It has several aspects to it: smoking cessation, like diabetes education, weight control, high blood pressure education, general health education, and then an enhanced EIMR, enhanced illness management and recovery. That's a evidence-based program that educates people on how to deal with and handle the day-to-day life if you have a mental illness. So the basics of taking your medications, making your appointments, how to handle stress, anxiety, the different things that come along. So we're real excited to be rolling out those programs and really making a difference in improving the lives of the people we serve. That's the bottom line in all of this effort. Is to make the lives of the people we serve much better. So with that, I'll be back at personnel next week. Those 7 positions we have until December 1st to get those filled. So if we can get those on a fast track, I would appreciate it.
Any questions or comments from the board? Want to have up there? Thank you. Other departments?
Good morning.
Good morning.
things. I did learn that when my wife tells me to empty the dishwasher, you empty the dishwasher. So, couple things, the stats, lodged in the jail last week 18, Almont 1, Lapeer City 4, Sheriff's Office 10, MSP 2, Lapeer FLC 1, out of those 8 felonies, 15 misdemeanors, 14 of them male, 4 female, traffic stops 124, car crashes or accident 47, 5 personal injury accidents. Out of those, we have 0 medical treatment, intervention, 3 detoxing from drugs or alcohol, and 0 mental health intervention. That's probably the first time I've seen 0 single thing in my entire time, so that's a good thing. Couple things quickly. I know Jeff left, but asking when Commissioner Miller asked about him and his role there, I obviously talked to multiple leaders in that with the incident there with the water on the east side. I can honestly say that everybody raved about what Jeff did. The elected officials, the supervisors, the mayors, all that stuff, and then obviously all the groups that worked with it, couldn't say enough positive. So I think it was a huge impact for us and just a good setting. So I think he's being a little bit humble when he said those things, but he did really well. And lastly, and probably most importantly, I didn't actually know that Deputy Captain was going to be here. Obviously, he had to come to see Miss Linda, as she was yelling at him that he hadn't been around. I've actually given you updates along the way. I'll be straight with you that we had to talk about it, that I want to do something that's large in front of this, but there's a piece of me that wants to do that when I return to work. So I know I've talked for the ones that haven't been in here. Obviously, Deputy Captain was shot 4 times. He went through hell getting back with his family. He did have surgery here not too long ago. He's got major nerve damage. Surgery went well, but the surgeons and doctors are just waiting to see how that nerve is going to repair. So I say it from the side of, we hear all this crap of people talking about heroes and what they do nowadays. You sit here about athletes on TV that are heroes to our country. Mike's a hero. And what he survived that day, how he handled it, obviously Deputy Schroeder also in that mix. So I personally, and I would ask all of us to give him a round of applause and thank him for
up here today because I know some of you are leaving. You're retiring. I don't live this one. And I just want to thank you personally because I worked with each of you over the years. Okay. As for my incident, I'm recovered. Not as fast as I'd like, but I'm recovered. So I'll be back hopefully at the beginning of the year. It's my case. It's the doctors and the nurses and everything else. So I look forward to that.
and now I'm dead.
Maybe another band.
Thank you.
Other departments. I call it like Nancy Boxley, who's not a department head as such, but is certainly a partner with the county, and actually resides in this building. So she has special status.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I want to start here, thank you for your service. I know many of you colleagues over multiple roles in the year, and it seems like today's a good day in this building to thank you for what you've done for Lapeer County, because it will make a difference for our. I'm here today as the Executive Director for the Lapeer County Community Foundation. We are incredibly fortunate because of the partnership of the county to occupy the offices in what I call the garden level, not basement. And I encourage you, if you haven't been down to see us, to stop by and visit our offices. It's a beautiful space. And I like to say we really are the foundation of the county by operating that space. As you know, we were started 26 years ago by just a group of well-meaning thoughtful, intentioned citizens that said Lapeer County needs a permanent source of capital to help improve the quality of life across this county. We started with a gift of $20,000 26 years ago. And that $20,000 has grown to almost $14 million in endowment. And I use that number not because it's a big bank number, because what it's meant is over $5.3 million back into our local communities for a wide variety, everything from health and human service, education, parks and recreation, critical needs, to fill in those gaps. And that is because of people across this county giving gifts from $25, $5 and up. We are not the foundation of the Vanderbilts, we're the foundation of hardworking people here in Lapeer County, and I am humbled to be able to serve as that conduit between the two. A couple things I just want to mention today for you as the county commissioners. You do hold two funds here at the foundation. And I think sometimes we need to talk about those because one of them is for the preservation of this historic courthouse. And so there is a permanent endowment available for people to donate to and have that capital for critical years and repair. And that's called the Lapeer Courthouse Restoration Fund, and that is permanently endowed. The second permanently endowed fund is the Lapeer County Probate Children's Fund, and that fund is used at the attention of the Children's Probate Court. I know it's gone through name changes over the years, but it's really for the direction of some of our youth most in need that might need to have opportunities, whether it be through camps or through other resources or just disadvantaged to use at the court's discretion. So there are two dedicated funds here for the county government for their use. Over the years, I put together just a quick list, but we have granted over $125,000 directly to county departments to support some of your initiatives. Going back to the I-69 corridor initiative, there was over $10,000 for that project. Most recently, the Sheriff's Department, we granted almost $7,000 for new dive equipment in their dive team to allow to keep those men and women safe and provide a service that isn't necessary, but that we have local people in place to do it. We've also recently partnered with CMH for the Into the Night suicide walk that happened 2 weeks ago. Staff did a phenomenal job supporting that event because one of our critical strategic plan projects is obviously mental health needs. You heard from our Youth Advisory Committee a couple of months ago and appreciate the opportunity of our youth talking about some of their needs and how that was translated. Through the COVID pandemic, we established an emergency relief fund because we knew there needed to be that centralized point of giving. Things happen and then people are like, where can I give? Where can I be sure that those monies are getting where they need to go? And so the emergency relief fund was established. 100% of every dollar that came in went out. No administrative fees, no overhead costs to keep our food banks open, to keep critical services in place. That is exactly the time you need your nonprofits to be able to do their work when perhaps their funding sources are dried out. But we were able to give several $1,000s to the health department so that they could provide snacks as young people were getting vaccinated or having things on hand that they needed to support their efforts. Also with the Sheriff's Department, we did fund a safety bill trailer, and that was over $6,000 to upgrade the safety bill trailer so that we can get out back into the community. The Pollyant Trail we supported with over $25,000 in 2017 for repairs, and then we come to the table to partner with you as some DNR grants have been submitted. So there's just a whole host of things. We appreciate the partnership, we appreciate your leadership, and we really appreciate the good fortune to be able to occupy this building because I think it tells a tale for all of Lapeer County, and hopefully we're part of that permanence. So you do have in front of you, if someone doesn't have it, you have a copy of our 2021 annual report. Last year, we gave almost $400,000 out in grants and scholarships across the county. But importantly, on the cover, on Tuesday is our annual celebration of giving. We invite you all to attend. It's at the Bells in Elmont. It It's just a nice night of fellowship and networking, good food and beverages, and a very short program, so you won't have to hear me talk very much, but to just talk about some of our projects. So please attend, please pass along the invitation if you can to someone that needs to know more about the foundation and how they can be part of it.
Good. Any questions? Comments for Nancy?
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to double check, any other department heads that didn't take the chance, that want the chance for comment? Okay, seeing none, then it's now public time. We invite public comment, about 3 minutes.
Good morning. Alan Pierce, Advocacy County. It's great to be in this building. Really, thank you for suggesting it. It's my first chance to see the building. Learned a lot about it since you guys have been talking about it. Oldest courthouse in the state. Great place to be. Great flag to serve. Aviation Survival Technician, Loesch, from the United States Coast Guard. Last week was notified, called personally by the President of this here United States and congratulated on him and his team going in during the hurricane in their Coast Guard helicopter. He was the guy that has to come down the line to where the person, whoever they're rescuing is at. This guy went to the house where a handicapped lady, elderly lady, and her husband was trapped in the top of their house. He cut through the roof, got both of them out safely. In high winds, it wasn't just his work, it was the total team aboard that rescue helicopter. But he got the congratulations for being the guy that went in there, cared enough about these people, saved their lives, and he congratulated this young man. Okay? This young man took it graciously, did not take that opportunity to say anything else to the president when he had the opportunity to on the phone. This young man has been denied by the United States Coast Guard twice for religious exemption of the COVID vaccine mandated by that same administration. In 2 weeks from today, I would like to call for citizens to pray for this young man and his family who is being discharged in 2 weeks from the United States Coast Guard for refusal of taking that vaccine. In Mr. Loesch's own words, if I had asked any of the people I saved yesterday if they wanted to come to me even though I am unvaccinated, every single one of them would have said yes. He had the opportunity to talk to the president at that time and chose not to. That's a strong patriot who is doing the job for fellow citizens, and in this case, for their safety. Our public servants across the country, whether it be the police department, whether it be fire, whether it be emergency, we have lost so many people in this amount of time to the COVID vaccine. We need to stop, but please pray for Aviation Survival Technician Loesch and his future. With God's help, he'll get through this.
Other members of the public. Sorry. Okay.
Hi there. It's a great place to meet, but the benches are really hard. Jan Watts, Mayfield Township, but today I'm representing the League of Women Voters, and I'm bringing to all the commissioners a copy of our latest nonpartisan statewide ballot candidate and ballot proposals. We have 3,000 of these that are going to be distributed through the county. Right now, all of our libraries have them for people to pick them up. By next week, hopefully all of our municipalities will have copies when they meet with the clerks next Wednesday. Most of our departments will have them within the next few days. So if you have constituents who want to know who should I vote for, where do people stand on things, this is a really good, but it's only the statewide ballot. Someday when we get a larger legal of voters, hopefully we'll be able to do something that's an insert that would be local for commissioners and county positions and things like that. So I would like to, am I allowed to pass these out to people? Okay. If you've never seen one before, this is only the second time, I believe, we've had them here in numbers.
Notice a large quantity at the courthouse.
Yes. The courthouse, I put a few out there this morning, but the county clerk's office as well as other departments will also have them. The league is very interested in people being informed voters. The candidates for the different offices were asked the same questions, and you'll see their responses. Some of them didn't respond at all, by print time, but people can go on the front of the voter guide. It also talks about our online presence. So if people responded to the questions after the print, or after the guide went to print, then they could be at the online access, which is vote411.org. So I encourage you to let your constituents know that these are available, if they, especially the libraries, we keep make sure that they're always stocked because that's often a place where people want to see them. So.
Thank you. Other members of the public?
Good morning. My name is Ramona Sanchez. I am the city clerk for the city of Lapeer. I am also a member of the Lapeer County Municipal Clerks Association. And if they don't mind, I have several of those individuals here with me today. Okay. Oh, that's my people. So I come before you today on behalf of the Lapeer County Clerk's Office. More specifically, Teresa Spencer and Amy Stearns. Those of us that are here today are here to express our frustration on their behalf. It is our understanding that the County Clerk's Office has asked not only the administration, but this board to provide them with the ability to hire additional staff, and that request has been denied. Because their office is understaffed, they're being spread very thin and pulled in multiple directions. Now you may be asking yourself why that has caused the local clerks frustration. The reason being is that when the county clerk's office is continually spread so thin, it's inevitable that there's something that's going to fall through the cracks, things that are not going to be done or they possibly are neglected. So unfortunately, as they're dealing with all of the issues that are in the court, it seems to be that the election is what gets put on the back burner. By no fault of their own, we're not blaming them, but we want to let you know that this is incredibly frustrating to those of us on the local level. There are deadlines that have to be met, there are state requirements that have to be met, and when those are not met, then we get pushed behind. Again, you may be wondering why we're frustrated. Those delays mean that we're constantly behind. If we don't receive our ballots on time and we don't receive our programming on time, we can't do our jobs on time. Over the past several years, clerks have been taking a beating, figuratively. We've had our integrity questioned, we've had our ability to do our jobs questioned, and we have had accusations made against us by people who don't know what we do and don't know how we do it. As that continues and we are unprepared to be able to perform our duties, our frustration levels increase. While you do realize that this may be confusing, please know that I'm trying to give you an incredible amount of information in 3 minutes. Ultimately, the county clerk's office staff has a shortage, having a very negative effect on not only the county clerk's office, those of us in the local clerk's office, but it also has an effect on the voters, and those are the ones that vote for you. So in closing, we're requesting that the county administration and this board meet with the county clerk's office to determine the staffing needs that will allow them to run their office and function in a proper manner, giving them the opportunity to not only meet the needs of the residents, but to also exceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Might note, that's our normal procedure is we don't comment on public statements unless somebody, when we get to our individual comments at the end of the meeting, wishes to do that. Thank you. Other members of the board.
Hi, my name is Anna Pierce, and Hadley Township. I just wanted to say that I really appreciated that, those comments from, the city clerk, town clerk, and she was the city clerk. I know that they are under a lot of pressure right now. I know that because I call them sometimes. And, people who, I fellowship with are also calling them because we have lots of questions. And I know one way that they are being, taxed is probably through FOIAs, because people are seeking more information about our election, about the election process. Because it's true, we don't know a whole lot about it. And we want to know, because that's how we elect our people, that's how we elect our representatives. So we have to know about this. That's how you be a good citizen, is you see what's going on. So that is putting a lot of extra work on them. But the law provides for that, so that's part of their job. And they know that, and they're reading that, and so I really appreciate that. But I just wanted to say a little bit about FOIAs, and probably people already know this, but I'll repeat it anyway. Government agencies are required by law to disclose any information requested under FOIA unless it falls under certain exemptions which protect interests like personal privacy, national security, and law enforcement. In relation to all the FOIA requests our clerks are responding to, an election investigator shared with me that these requests would not be necessary if our whole election system, the database for so much personal information, and the uniform voting system in use in our state and country were simply more transparent. And that's what the people are really pushing for. Free people ought to know how their representatives are elected and how the votes are tabulated by the metal counters. We ought to know, and we have seen too much now. We have seen cardboard on glass windows, videos of people dropping off stacks of ballots on more than one occasion. We've seen that. Now, I'm so thankful to God that we don't think that anything like that has happened here. Well, we don't know, because we don't know what happens to those ballots as they go to the tabulators. We don't know how that happens. In the old days, people would sit around and, boy, I'm telling you, I've already looked into this. I can't even imagine how much work that would be. But I prefer the work over distrust of the machines. I prefer the work. People die in this country, and we're not willing to go to extra work. Work is a small thing. People fight wars because they don't believe that they have the right people representing them. We know about the smoke and mirrors certification process of the voting systems and the lax accreditation of the testing laboratories of the voting system, Probate. That issue alone is enough reason to check the system ourselves with a hand count. That is also the reason for the Ickes versus Whitmer lawsuit that went out on September 2nd. In the last month, I have highlighted several problematic vote switches due to programming errors and tabulators simply not tabulating a couple thousand votes. Asking for documentation of these stories, call folks involved for details. They are true. We are accepting a second-rate system of counting our votes. We need a double check.
Carolyn there, I agree with Anna. I'm so proud of her for speaking up. I know that you guys get weary of us, but we're here. And we do not question the integrity of the clerks. We have not done that. We question the machines. We ask for a hand count. It is not a recount. It is a hand count. There are many people that will volunteer to do this. I know it all says we have to be paid, but we'd be happy to get paid and give the money back. But we are willing to do that. Just a reminder, tonight at Marathon Township Hall, we were zoning Board of, I'm not sure if it's Board of Appeals or Board of Approval. It's appeal, but on the website it says Board of Approval. Yes. So anyway, there's a meeting tonight at Marathon Township. It has to do with the wonderful construction project beside our property. It has to do with, they would like to rezone, I guess it's a building, it's an ag, whatever, but they want to rezone just the building commercial because they do the laundry of those that can't there. So that meeting is tonight at Marathon Township at 6 o'clock. Also, this last, I guess it's been a couple weeks now, the legislature has passed this apportionment bill, and I did make my call to Senator Bailey, Representative Green, and Representative Howell. I was told that I would actually, they all voted for it, is what I was told, but I was told that I would, one of them from one of the officers told me that they would send me that bill through email. That was last week. I still haven't received it, so I'm still hoping that I will receive that. And also, I know you probably heard that this CEO of Connick was arrested in LA because he's accused of stealing poll worker private information. And we all know all of our information is out there. Everybody takes it. But he literally sent it to China, and it was specific. They know they were poll workers. So that's just one thing. And this last week, although I don't subscribe to the paper, someone sent me the article that had talked on the front about, it was an interview with the Health and Human Services Director. And it again talked about masks and how masks and social distancing improved flu last year. We all know it has been proven the masks don't work. They work on some things, they do not work on most of it. It would talk about the vulnerable population would be protected by getting a flu shot. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. I believe that a lot of times fear and anxiety make people sick. And when we are pushing that through commercials and articles, I think it's wrong. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, then move on to our agenda. There's whole business. We have a couple topics hanging over to the sheriff right now. First one has to do with the vote. So a couple pieces with this.
I want to start out with the most important ones. When I originally came to you guys, I apologize, I don't even know what the date was, but we had that on the agenda. When I proposed that, and the bad part is truthfully, up until about 2 weeks ago, I thought what I told you was still true. So when I said the vote was here at Chapman's at the time, obviously we went with the local bid on that, and that it's here and ready to be delivered, my information was wrong, and that is 100% on me, and I apologize for that. The information that I should have portrayed was it was to be ordered at that point because of the backup with everything that's out there. So that is not, I know obviously there's been conversations with some of the deputies. Obviously the Marine Patrol and that unit and Mr. Russell worked back and forth with the ordering of it, but it still falls down on me. That was that information. I apologize, like I said, up until 2 weeks ago, I still didn't know that. So that's my fault, and I apologize for that information. Ultimately, what's happened with it is when that was ordered on that date, because of the backlog, when it finally came in, the price on that was raised. So the original bid on the boat itself was $51,672. The bid when it came back, which basically was the manufacturer during that ordering time, raised the price from the time of ordering to delivery. The price
price came in at that point, for Chapman, which Chapman doesn't have anything to do with, it's actually the manufacturer that added the additional, came back at $55,959. So obviously the increase on that is about $4,280. The difference in your approval or for the boat itself and under the ARPA loan. We did update some of the quotes, reference the emergency equipment, and the detailing for the sheriff's office on there. That quote has went down since our original bid. So basically when that comes back, the additional needed total from your original approval at the presentation, the additional needed total is $3,910. Obviously with the things that we've done, obviously with the generosity of getting the boat, obviously to remind you the Marine Patrol boat, obviously with the Lake Neptune drowning here, our Marine Patrol boat is also used for our dive team. And those pieces, I will be presenting a new partnership that we have referenced that here in the next couple of weeks. But an additional total of $3,910, we felt because of everything that's been done, we were not going to come back to the county for the taxpayer to pay that money. That $3,910 would be paid for by our fundraising. We have a motor unit that does it with the use or the help of Marine Patrol and other units that help in that fundraising. So that strictly comes from fundraising events and forfeiture. So the $3,910, which is the additional, ultimately will not come from any county money, any taxpayer money. That'll come from fundraising and forfeiture.
Questions from the board? Don't we have some additionally?
Well, yeah, maybe just because originally, the church had to be there. The vote was supposed to be decided.
100% my fault.
I asked that question
Yep.
specifically because we had such a meeting set.
I agree.
That's what we were told, so for this thing, it's a what?
Totally get it. And the bad part is I said what after because I actually believed it at the time of it. So again, I'm not making excuses for it. That's my fault and I apologize for it.
But that was my.
I get it. I understand.
So,
Yes, sir.
Okay, the amount that we have is, the board is different than what our draft motion would specify.
Your original approval was for $54,385. That was boat and equipment detail. The approval now will be $58,295, but we're paying the additional to $39,10, $3,010.
So 3,000 is for detailing?
No, it gets a little confusing. So $4,280 is actually the manufacturer increase. We dropped the price of the original bid, so $2,343 is what our actual extra, that includes all equipment for it and detailing. So the $2,343 is that. Because it's lower than that, those offset of what the original approval is a difference of $3,900.
Okay, and then I know there's a question, so that additional funds will also outfit.
This goal will be done with that figure.
So it'll be completely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's
Yes, sir.
fine. Thank you.
So in the draft motion, we should really change that amount to $3,910. Where it indicates that it would be for forfeiture, it really should say forfeiture
And fundraising motor unit is actually what that fundraising line item fits in.
Okay. Any further questions or concerns? Okay, seeing none, all
Support.
okay, thank you. Yeah.
Linda
Right.
Ryan,
Yes. Any further discussion? Thanks for the motion, second. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No.
Thank you, and I apologize. No, that's okay. Thank you, and I apologize for my mistake.
Okay, we have a second. Secondary road program.
So this is kind of the same thing that you see every year, the secondary road, there is a positive to this, because I think, and I apologize, I don't have that piece in front of me, but our allocation is $57,000.
Yes.
So the governor, we've been doing this for 3 years now, trying to, MSA, Michigan Sheriff's Association, has been trying to fund secondary road patrol for you guys that have been here obviously a long time. Remember, they used to fund 2 positions for this county. We then went to 1 position, and now they fund about 60% of that. And that's everybody across the state. So we've been lobbying for 2-3 years now. The problem with secondary road patrol, 416 money, the majority of that money comes from revenue from traffic citations. So it was dropping, and then when COVID happened, you weren't having traffic stops, you weren't having any sort of, our argument from about 2-3 years ago was for the budget, the state budget, to fund that from other sources, i.e. the liquor part and some of the marijuana money, because obviously the focus of secondary road patrol is driving under the influence, so it makes sense to come from there. The governor decided a 50% increase in all secondary road patrol for the budget. It is done last week, I believe, 7-10 days ago, that was signed with MSA. So we will be getting a substantial increase. The problem is nobody knows when that's going to be. If you remember before, we get this now, and then usually about January, we get some additional funds that would come in. So I'm guessing the state's in October 1 fiscal, so I'm guessing on the January mark, we'll find out what our additional is going to be, and that's locked in for many years too in that budget. So that's a positive for locals, finally. We just need the approval of the actual 416 grant.
I think also there's a question, because one of the numbers says approve it for 44 years.
In the wording on the thing?
Yeah, I don't have it all, but unfortunately, it didn't show up in our packet. Yeah, but I won't do it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I did not see that.
No, I won't do it. Yeah, that's something I noticed, and I was like, I didn't get approved this for 44 years. Well, I did it 44 years ago.
If the state does it at 100%, let's approve it.
Yeah.
44 years. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. If it's for the 416, it's basically for a year, and then we get whatever comes from the legislation somewhere in the first year.
So dig in here to see.
I'm sorry.
I didn't receive anything regarding secondary road patrol.
No, there was no draft on it last.
I think wasn't this originally on, you got moved last week, this week?
Yeah.
That's from last week.
So probably we need some language, maybe we need to put this off to the next meeting with authority.
It's to say it, but an approval for, it's a 1 year, I mean, all 416 is 1 year, so I think that changed.
That's all the last packet I think.
You really don't have much background.
Yeah, I don't, that's the first time I've heard about 4 years. It's the same 416 we've been doing forever. I'm guessing whenever we get the actual new allocation, we're gonna have to make change on the amendment anyways.
So if we move it to next week with authority,
That's what,
that's not a problem.
totally.
And then so you should drop that.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
I'll move that issue to next week. So we're working on
Is there a motion, support? Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
Thank you for your
Sorry,
time.
sure.
No, that's okay. Just everyone's out there.
Okay, and then we have addition of 2 topics. Commissioner Snyder, you asked for a certain order, I did write that down.
The first one would have been first one.
Okay, we have the request from the road commission for our annual amount of money that we give from our county budget, general fund, that goes to critical bridges. And it's used by both the road commission and the townships to match monies that they have to expand work they can do on critical bridges throughout the county. We have a an established ratio, and I think that's reflected in the figures. So if I can get a motion.
One question before I move the motion. This is the very first time I've ever seen, the draft motion speak of retroactive date in the general ledger.
Yes, the roads, year end is 9:30, and they have all the staff. They missed it. So we called their attention to it, and they sent it over on Monday.
So that's for common purposes to make sure it falls within their year.
Correct.
I'll move the draft motion.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, the second topic we have there is reference to giving authority to our controller and our chief financial officer to handle bills. That's required for the board.
I'll move it.
Any discussion? Standard procedure, we're doing a little bit early. They need to cover in case we get stuck with lack of quorum. We're short, most of the members in the audience are aware of short a few people, and that situation could get a little bit more critical. So rather than delay paying bills, it's on the docket for us to approve. It's something we do as a standard thing, and that's why it's on the agenda without going through the whole. Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah.
In a second. We do. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, as part of our packet, we also have some motions from the committee of the whole last meeting. Request to approve. Ask Commissioner Snyder to maybe bring us forward.
It's like about 3 pages in the agenda packet. Contains some motions, and then last week, the committee of the whole had authority to act on county commissioner issues. There's a couple of resolutions that just getting read into the record because we already have a roll call on them. But I'll do them separately. So on page 103, from September 29th, through the whole meeting, I will move motions 1, 2, and 3.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
And then, beginning on page 1 and ending on page 3, are 2 resolutions regarding the county commissioners that we are reading into the record. Roll call that already occurred, so I will move both of those resolutions to the record.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. And I guess I've noticed I skipped over nominations. We'll come back to that. How about if we do personnel?
Sure. Also, personnel met last week. 3 issues on the agenda. Motions 1 and 2 are already budgeted positions. There is no additional cost, it's kind of a fund. And motion number 3, that was a housekeeping issue. So that motion would be able to then move forward for appropriate changes. If my memory serves me correctly, and you either our CNH director or administration recalls, I thought there were 2 changes in the original motion from the board that needed to
2 and 3 were housekeeping.
Okay, what I'm saying is what it might have been motion 3. I know one of them had to do with the position number, and then I think there was also a degree change.
Yeah. On number 2, the original motion had the incorrect credential, and then in number 3, the original motion the incorrect position number. So one was a degree and one was a position.
Yeah, so our motion number 2, I guess that's
That's the degree one.
BCA, BA is,
Right. Got a little A.
bachelor of something in there, right? All right, so with that explanation, I will move motion 1 to
Support. So we're saying, what is here is that?
what is here is actually.
Any further discussion? See none. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, back to nominations. I'll just skip right over it. We do have a couple areas where we have vacant positions. I think the senior program board, anyway, soon will, unless anybody's aware of any change here. We just haven't had anybody forwarded from that senior center. So, going down to this, central dispatch, my knowledge, Kelly is still interested. I need to recontact him to see if he's not able to comment and speak to the board. Friends of the Historic Courthouse Committee, we have a meeting next week. I guess my question there would be, are we requiring all of those members to appear?
Now, Diane, both of us will be out of town that day. I have tried to overcome her to find out that everybody's gonna continue on a week, and he's been part of the time in Michigan now, so he won't be on. But I don't know for sure about the rest. So I'll try and get an answer and things like that. But I think,
So, they're really a fundraiser for the county.
yeah.
And the fact that volunteers, big benefit. Financially, we keep up with story.
Who's the chair? Okay, I was gonna say, if maybe they just wanna show up, they'll speak. I think that if somebody show up to speak, would be fine.
As appointments. In fact, the new board faced that challenge of having to appoint some new members to the street.
Even going back to
I'll ask that question.
even going back to there, I mean, I think it's very familiar with him and all the service. I don't think we need to have a policy that every time someone comes up, but I would, the individuals have come before us, know that the board is not saying, no, you're working, then we should at least, kind of introduce themselves. But I don't see us as block that, you have to say that.
Yeah.
Everyone has terms of agree.
I agree as long as, that they're all the meetings and attending.
So I'm comfortable, if we just call whatever this employee will continue to serve.
I have talked to him, so
Okay. And
he is willing to serve, he's had some
yeah,
physical issues getting places.
I would, are you looking for a motion on that one, or?
We would repair a motion.
Yeah, I would move that we appoint him, to continue to serve on central dispatch.
The discussion, a little bit different from what we said before.
So I guess I'm confused because especially the central dispatch priority, the guys in the courthouse committee is concerned with that. The description is having a problem getting around and is it pending any meetings that they're having?
My understanding is that yes. Hopefully it's temporary. It has been over the years very good at
And again, you know, from my comments, the one reason I'm doing that is because most of us are familiar with that individual and all the services he's provided. Any individual board member here is not familiar with the person or is not comfortable, then just, I think the board member can simply say, I'd like to have them come, and I'll certainly withdraw the motion so that any board member sitting there is comfortable.
And I guess I'll be respectful, I value your guys' opinion, and if you're comfortable with this person, I don't know that I have it back. So, you know, at some point, it would be nice, even if it's in the future, when he was able to that he would come before this board or the next board and present this.
To that point, I think we talked about this before. I think, did we change our policy officially, or was it just a recommendation? Remember?
I think there was a motion.
I think there was. So my point to this would be, all these people who are applying should, they're not to show first, at the very least, send a letter to the board or something to show their interest, just for continued policy cohesion and for the next board as well. Because I think honestly, the current way, like, oh, we talked to them, it's all good, isn't really sustainable. It's like they take the initiative themselves and all say, yes, I'm interested, list out, they can want to list out as well. Just for that sake, they can't show up here first, at the very least, they can send a letter saying why they want to be in position and what they actually say.
And I think that's what led to the original discussion, is that the board was going to change over short on so many things. Well, like any other, make a blanket policy, and sometimes, you know, taking into consideration certain things, like say a large number of people in a courthouse committee that's just meeting, or in something like central dispatches, position, where you had somebody that's been serving there for years, and it turns out that you want to make sure that there's not a gap, in term, then sometimes you need to be able to take those into consideration.
So do you think it would be a huge inconvenience just to have Blair send something to the county can't send in person?
He did send his application.
But a letter as well, introducing himself. The application doesn't say much about it, it just says name, basic information.
Well, I would defer to Mark, because he's gonna be here next term. If you want to,
But like I say, I'm good with them, just, you know, in the future, please come and introduce yourself, you know, obviously, you guys know him, I don't. So, in this case, let's say the friends of the, you know, the sort of courthouse committee, say, that's a fundraising thing, I don't think that's really, that doesn't fit the same criteria as a central dispatch authority, not in my. So I'm good with it.
We can certainly get an application, request an application.
well, why don't we also, just so that we make sure we don't violate their own board rules, I'll go ahead and withdraw my motion for right now to make the appointment. Just, and I would ask administration, can you guys look up that motion and bring it back on the agenda next week for the committee of the whole, just so we can see, we might have to go ahead and just revise that and tweak that a little bit so that the future board is comfortable with the appointments they make. But again, that we don't turn around and make some blanket policy that makes it a hindrance to people that want to step forward and serve, especially when we've got terms that are expiring and things of that nature.
In the courthouse, there's so many of them, they're working, and they're all volunteers.
Absolutely.
And we do it all.
Yeah, depending on the word of that motion, that might have to be
Okay, request to withdraw the motion or the second. Okay, withdraw. Put this topic on the agenda for committee of the whole. We look at that. Okay, ad hoc committee updates. Not aware of any. Should ask though, do we have any committee meetings today? From administration, ARPA, or any others?
Nothing, I do have an update about the Park and Rec program. I spent some time yesterday with Mr. Bussell, some folks from and the water park company. So it's worth having a discussion since we're all here today. So if we could call our meeting, if we have time this afternoon, I know it's a little ad hoc, but it's worth having a discussion. So yes, we're gonna have another committee meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. So yes.
Yes, we're gonna have another meeting.
There's yes and our yes. Okay. Okay, that answers that. Fiscal plan and budget discussion, that I know we do have a report on.
Yes.
Our chief financial officer.
Yes, I passed out my preliminary, budget projections for 23 and 24 for you guys to look at. I highlighted any changes, basically in the special revenue funds. I want to thank all of the department heads because, you know, we really were late getting this done. And they have been super cooperative about not getting their final, what's in this report. They didn't get it until yesterday, some of them this morning. But they've been great about reviewing it and making sure that we didn't miss anything. And they just really want to get every part, and Lauren were super cooperative. So, got a great team. Do you have any questions or? Oh, that's Doreen did that, yes.
Any further comments or questions? We do have a request to make sure that we put aside a day for budget hearings.
I think Doreen has been scheduling them for the 20th. Right? Yeah. Yes.
So that's our regular meeting date, but we're hoping that we'll do that after the regular full board.
Yes.
With a number of hearings to go on through into the afternoon, so please.
And she's requesting that we also block on the common day Friday, because it's a 50-50 chance that.
Okay.
Okay.
Now that I have.
Yeah.
All right, so both Thursday and Friday, right?
So far, I have no 3 that are scheduled. So maybe Friday afternoon, beach day or something, I don't know.
I can remember times when we used 3 days.
Yes.
Get through here.
Like I said, the department has been super. You know, you mail down the preliminary final that's going to the board at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they get back to you by 4. I mean, that's wonderful.
Okay, anything else from administration at this point?
Just like to make one comment about the household hazardous waste clean sweep program. That was completed on September 21st. So the final tally was 250 vehicles came through the Eastern Michigan Fairgrounds on that day. We collected over 14,000 pounds of household hazardous waste. We had budgeted for this program $10,000 from the county. We had asked every municipality to also participate, as we had representation from every one of those townships, at least from a citizen standpoint. As of my last note, 10 of the 26 municipalities have financially participated to cover their cost of their citizens. With that being said, the total bill was $13,529.34. With the participation from the other counties, we just got there. So what we'll be doing is we will be sending a letter to those financially participating communities, letting them know the success of the event and that their citizens had participated, and remind them that, you know, some it's as small as $50. Some is for $100. I think that for what was taken from barns and shops and basements and allowed folks to do a little bit of house cleaning, I think that the township, that would go a long way to support that effort to get 14,000 pounds of waste out of Lapeer County disposed properly.
The people at the event that participated in it, extremely grateful to have that event. And being the first year that I've ever participated in it, I was actually really surprised the number of light bulbs and batteries that come in. Unbelievable. The household batteries, your double A's and triple A's and stuff like that. There's almost 2 55-gallon containers full of batteries.
1,700 pounds
1,700 pounds.
of the household batteries, almost a ton.
Good. The other part of that is clean sweep, which is farm chemicals. And the state will be picking up the tab for that. And hopefully we'll get figures from Tuscola on the clean sweep collection too.
Correct, that application has been submitted for clean sweep, and reimbursement should be coming back to the county.
I guess I'd ask our controller, the topic of broadband, any comments you want to make? Survey or others?
Sure, I always have a comment about broadband. We had submitted, as of September 30th, a federal grant in excess of $10 million. And what is on the line is that if this grant is approved, it'll set a 5-year plan to complete an entire range of fiber internet access around the entirety of your county. And then from that, the projected revenues generated from last mile providers to ISPs, after a 6-year period of time, it's within the millions. And so this is the type of development, this is the type of infrastructure development that leads to real jobs, real development, and real revenue, which offset expenses, which we constantly keep an eye on. We manage our expenses. So if in fact the federal grant is approved and we begin work, we'll have quite a bit of work to do over the next couple of years, but it will generate the revenue in the long run to offset. It'll be a completely new budget line that Jackie's excited about, that we've never seen before, and the revenue potential coming off that, minus expenses, is extraordinary. So fingers crossed, we should know an application decision. It's a federal grant. Everything gets pushed and pushed and pushed. It will not happen before the election, I can guarantee that. And then it'll take time for the new administration to get in place, and then they'll probably be signing off on things. I imagine first of the year, or at least in the first quarter, we should hear something.
I did get a question from a constituent in reference to the survey.
Yes.
We're still doing the survey. We want people to continue to do that.
We need to. We only right now have only 3% of the population who is surveyed. We need critical mass at least 10%. 10% will justify any FCC data that we need to compare against. So we are very much still on to have the survey completed. There are yard signs that can be put up in your neighborhoods. If you own a business, that'd be phenomenal. If there's a homeowner association that would approve to have that, if your church, if your ball club, if your school would have a yard sign, that is fantastic. There are flyers found in the third floor. If you haven't gotten one already, we'll make them available to you. Please talk to your township. I'm scheduled to speak in Imlay Township at the MTA meeting scheduled for October 17th. So every township who will be represented there will also get the same commercial, so to speak, and be given all the information. So it should be going out to all the residents and have a complete Lapeer County coverage, at least from that standpoint. Yes, Mr. Miller?
I'm curious, someone knocks on doors and handed out flyers. Is it wrong if I was to take a iPad with me, use my mobile hotspot, and I can fill them out while I was at the door?
That's fantastic. I mean, if you want, if that type of effort, I mean, if you can do that, that's phenomenal. However, I would ask you not to, and this is the reason why. And this is the reason why. If they filled out the hotspot from your tablet using your hotspot, that doesn't give me a true indication of the data speed coming from that address. It's coming from your hotspot. I want to know how bad that internet speed is from the resident themselves. So I don't want to skew the data. Phenomenal effort. Truly appreciate that type of participation to get people involved. But the truest data, the rawest data is what that home actually receives for data. You're welcome.
Homes, I don't know how the distribution was established, but homes received a written questionnaire, written survey. Was that all homes in the county?
19,000 rooftops received, mailboxes received. So out of 30,000, and why did some receive and some did not? Because if you live in the city limits and you have internet access, I know that you have access to the survey and your proximity to that information. Ruth, right, or Rich Township, Hadley, there's some areas at 0. I wanted to make sure that those residents receive something in their mailbox, and that's more than likely where they receive most of their information. So 19,000 surveys were mailed.
And I assume it's still possible to get some people throw those things away without really knowing what they got. It's still possible to get a copy to fill out if they realize that they really ought to get their house on the map.
We will do everything we possibly can do to make sure that, yes, if it's a hard copy, yes. If it's an online, they can do it from their phone, a tablet, yeah, we'll make it happen, yes. They're all the above are available.
So encourage your friends. We got 3%, we need to get to a minimum of 10%.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we do have a couple other motions for audit purposes. Commissioner Snyder, would you like to pass those along?
I will move the road commission's audit motion for check dated October 6th, 2022, and the county's audit motion for check dated October 7th, 2022, with the county administrative control.
Support. Motion is support. Those in favor say aye. Roll call. Thank you. Roll call. Yeah. Keeps us honest.
Good, stop.
Okay. Please call.
Commissioner Garber.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Commissioner Thunder.
Yes.
And Commissioner Henn.
Yes. With that done, we move back to public time. Again, like members of the public for 3 minutes.
I agree with the previous person who came up, this bench really hard. In light of discussion about appointments, I just come before the board to present myself because I know that in December 31st, 2022, I'll be up on this. So I'm presenting myself to you today in case you don't know me. I would like to continue on a advisory board, the senior advisory board that I've been dealing with for now this whole year almost. You all appointed me in December of last year, and I'd like to continue. So I present myself because you guys are the ones that have to vote. Prior to that, I'm assuming. I'm new at it. I don't know. But I do have a couple of comments, just general comments. I very much appreciate the township clerks who showed up today. I know that as being part of one of the people who have came to them
trying to find out information about the voting systems we use, and taking our concerns to them the same way we've been taking it to our county commissioners. The dialogue has been exceptional, that I've been experienced with, although there have been contentious times. They're doing their job. Okay, I'm not saying they're not, but I do agree. I am one of those people that agree that I as a voter, as a citizen of the United States, I don't understand why there's such a surge of this. Well, we have machines in place to do all the counting for our voting. That's all we need. Well, there's evidence that comes up every day, almost every day, that that's not necessarily true with all these machines. So it's not, I hated to hear from the clerk of, I believe it was Lapeer, stating that they were in question as a whole. No, they're not. The machines that are being used by the state are in question. There's enough question. There's 3% of the people have done the survey thus far. 3% of the people came to this board, to these board members, earlier this year with a petition questioning the machines and their use. The same 3%. And we've got a lot of publicity on the internet things, but no publicity or no talk from our elected officials about this right now. All we're asking is to check the totals prior to it going to the county clerk. That's all we're asking in the townships.
Other members?
Good morning. How are you? I'm Paul Spencer, Oregon Township Clerk. Most of you know that. I could take this opportunity to say I'm the only male clerk. Anyway, I'm here to tell you guys something you probably don't hear very often. Personally, and on behalf of the Oregon Township Board, I'd like to thank you for your years of service. You've all done a great job. I know most of you personally, and you're all hardworking, dedicated, community-minded people. You're good people, and we appreciate what you've done. I don't know what you're going to do in the future, but it's up to you. And again, thank you. And with that, I'm leaving. Take care.
Other comments from the public?
Carolyn, Marathon Township again, and I guess, speaking again about the hand count and the end of the machine. When I, did that petition, I had other people help me. When we did that petition, and so many people felt the same way, and of course, a lot of those people were sometimes we forget, we're more passionate or more, strong-headed when we know something's wrong and we want to fix it. But I guess maybe I made a mistake when we did those petitions, not did the petitions, but when we gave them to you as district county commissioners. Probably what we should have done was did them per township. That would have been a lot of organization, but we could have done it. And then handed them to our township clerks. I will learn that lesson in the future on other situations that I'm involved in. But I think that we have enough time now that we may even spearhead something very quickly to do something like that. And all we ask is open minds. That's all we ask. is for someone to just really listen and look into it. And it's just not happening. Again, I was there the night when they duplicated the ballot. I was there. I watched it happen. I was 2 tables. Could listen, could see the exhaustion in the workers. That's why I said there's so many of us that would help with this. So many of us that would help with this. And we were told, you were told as county commissioners that we couldn't do, that hand count. After that whole duplication fiasco, it would have been a hand count, and you guys were told that you couldn't do it by, I don't know, the lawyer or the county clerk who got it from the state. But I believe that that could have happened. And I just think that maybe when we ask a question and we get an answer, maybe we need to go and ask another question and make sure that answer is correct. So I learned my lesson. I'll know who to go to with the information that I have.
Okay, I think I saw a hand way in the back. Did I? I don't think somebody was stretching.
Good morning. I do try to, I know I have sometimes forgotten, but I do try to say, right in the beginning, that I do thank you. Because I do truly appreciate you guys. So I do try to start with that each and every time. We don't always agree, but that doesn't negate how much I appreciate all of you guys. So yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment or discuss a comment that you made, Commissioner Ryan, last week. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but in essence, this is what I understood you say. We were talking about the Lapeer issue, and you made a comment in essence that if we did agree with our elected officials that, as far as their effectiveness or their efficiency, that we really need to battle that out at the ballot box. Kind of, is that in general kind of what you said, and something like that? But so it's the importance of that ballot box, right? So our vote, it needs to count. It needs to count. So it just raises the concern that many people in this community had about election integrity. Alan was talking earlier about the vulnerabilities of the machine. There is a report out there by Assistant Professor Alex Holden of U of M. He's made a career of studying electronic voting security. You can go to one of U of M's websites and you can find that article. I'm not an expert in computer. I wouldn't even begin to say that. I'm not even a techie. I have my kids to help me. But he is an expert. He is a professor. He has studied the electronic voting security system. And his conclusion is the machines are vulnerable. That's the key phrase. They are vulnerable. It doesn't mean that, I'm not even talking about 2020. Okay? I'm talking about the fact that he has proven through his studies that the machines are vulnerable. And so therefore I want to go, I want to touch bases on the county clerks, and the county clerk and our township clerks. I absolutely respect them. I have never said that I thought that they had done a shoddy job or aren't doing their jobs. I believe they are. They're good people. I've talked with my own Marathon Township clerk. She's a good person, and I know how hard she worked at the primary. It's about election security, and if we're questioning the vulnerabilities of the machine, that's why we're requesting a hand count, not a recount, a hand count following the tabulator count. That is hard evidence that what the true vote was at the end of the election. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Debbie Oliver, I'm the Deerfield Township Clerk. We, the integrity of the machines, we have to put them through a test. I invite everybody to their township office the day we do the public accuracy test. We have to make a chart up, or a chart has to be made. This election, there are 48 ballots that have to be special marked, and it has to, so that the ballot, the machine is tested for their integrity. If you understood our charts and understood the ballots, you would understand that the machines are tested by the rules of the state of Michigan of how we can, and we're trying to fool the machines. You can mark straight ballot and then go find another ballot on another candidate. The machine counts it correctly. The machines are accurate. If we were to hand count all the ballots in all the different offices, there would be so many human errors that you would never, it would be phenomenal, to be honest with you. The machines are like a calculator or a computer. It counts them accurately. No one shows up to these public accuracy tests. No one. Thank you. This is beautiful. I've never been in here. This is kind of fun. I would do this all the time. Official, I like it. Is there a reason you can't do it? Oh, I do. I love the feel in here. You wonder all the decisions that are made over all these years of people. We're all human. We are going to disagree. I disagree with my own husband. That's what makes America beautiful. But if we can't respect to be heard when someone disagrees with you, it goes with this election, it goes with COVID, it goes with everything in life. We are never, ever, ever going to agree on everything. We just have to agree to disagree, that we are never going to agree, but we should be respectful listening to people. I do appreciate everything you guys do. I know you probably hate me to see us all. But I do. I know you're all good people, again. But what's good, you know, is just being informed. So something that really bothers me, I am totally non-political. I really have never been. I'm guilty. I'm the stupid one who had proposals. I didn't really understand what they said. I'm like, I would ask my husband, well, am I supposed to say yes to that or no to that? I don't really understand that. That's kind of how they're written quite a bit of the time, actually. And I want to bring to attention this proposal 3. Constitutional amendment to establish new, sorry, I'm technically challenged. Very technically challenged. I know, it's not secure. To establish new individual right to reproductive freedom, including the right to make and carry out all decisions about pregnancy, such as prenatal care, childbirth, postpartum care, contraception, sterilization, abortion, miscarriage management, and infertility. Allows states to prohibit abortion after fetal viability unless need to protect the patient's life or physical or mental health, forbids state discrimination or enforcement of this right, prohibit prosecution of an individual or person helping a pregnant individual, does not say doctor, or exercising rights established by this amendment, and invalidate all state laws that conflict with this amendment. That is really vague, and I don't know, I mean, again, I'm clueless, but there's nothing that talks about an age minimum, a minor. It doesn't talk about the gestational age of that fetus. Fetal viability, it's got some long definition, I have it on here too. Look it up, I looked it up months ago. It is very vague. It allows the person, the health professional, but the law doesn't even say it has to be a health professional. They are the ones who make that decision. Fetal viability is very vague. The parental consent is overridden with this proposal. And it invalidates all constitutional laws that conflict with this. That's again very vague. I hope that people who do this proposal look up to see exactly which laws that this will wipe off the slate. This is a really vague proposal, and I would completely be against it. If everyone would do their work, they would see. And if you look, I looked at that paper, it said nothing about parental rights that that women's organization did. That's huge. If you want to take the right away from parents, we all have a problem with it, because kids are not able to make these decisions. So thank you very much, and again, I'd love to come back here, it's beautiful.
Hi, everyone. I'm Diana Ireland, and I serve on the Lapeer County Board of Canvassers. I just wanted to make a statement that what comes through board canvassers is that there is a number that comes of voters off the computers at the clerk's offices. They are on computers, they are not on machines at that point. The number of ballots that go through the machine are to match that number that are of voters. And they are matching in Lapeer County. We don't seem to have that big massive problem that people have seen in other states and stuff like that. So I just wanted to let you know that, a little bit more information of kind of how it works, but the two are different things between the amount of voters on the computers in the clerk's office and machines of the number of ballots that they're on. I just want to make that statement. Thank you.
I just want to say something really quick, because I don't know enough about it, and I'm going to be looking into it. But I know that there are election integrity investigation groups, election integrity groups, that have done research on some of the numbers that come out of Michigan counties, including Lapeer. And I know there's someone who is ready to give a presentation about such discrepancies even in Lapeer. And if anyone is interested in that, it would help put to rest. I mean, you can listen to what they have to say, and you can say, you're idiots. Or you can say, maybe I better look into this. Because there are people giving a lot of their time to this kind of research, and I think it's worth looking into.
Let's recognize the young lady in the back.
Hi. I'm ready to call on the attention clerk. Just so y'all know, those people in the clerk's office bust their ass. They're underfunded and understaffed. And if you hire people for low wages, they work for a period of time and say, I can go work elsewhere, but this guy has. They're wrong. What a waste of time. They can't be doing this and doing their job. When they miss deadlines, guess what? We miss deadlines. It's not fair. We're the ones listening to the voters. And I have yet to have somebody in 10 years show up for a public accuracy test. I have yet to have FOIA to ask me to hold up each ballot and let that person do their own hand count and compare it to my tabulators, and I would put money that my tabulator is going to match your hand count unless you don't know how to count. And I totally agree that hand counting at the end of a 1800 day is absolutely ridiculous. Human error is going to be so much more than those tabulators. And if you don't trust them, do the FOIA, go to the clerk's office, and tabulate it for yourself. And that's all I have. I think those guys do a great job and deserve a little more in their office.
Mark Williams, Marathon Township, August, when we had the election, we know we had problems. I did go to the test in our township, and we were having troubles with them sticking the ballots in the machine. About every third ballot got kicked back out. And the guy got done with his test, and he says, would you like to sign my ticket to say I did a good job, or whatever, I don't know. But, no, I didn't sign your ticket. But, Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. It's not nuclear weapons, but it's our elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hey, as the old saying goes, the computer's garbage in, garbage out. And without getting into discussion about the debating machines or the electronic voting machines, my concern is the proposal 2. If you read it in depth and look at it, there's going to be a lot of garbage that's going to go in those machines if that passes. 9 days prior to the election day, you can vote. Mandatory drop boxes funded by taxpayers all over the place. No photo ID required, just a statement, not an affidavit, a statement. So read into that all you want. It's going to be an abomination of our Constitution, I believe, in the United States of America, to prove that you're a U.S. citizen and have a right to vote. And just to touch on proposal 3, parental rights issue is a big thing for me. If you read that proposal, it says individual, it doesn't put an age limit on there. That means if your 14-year-old daughter can go to your counselor, school counselor, to get an abortion without your consent as a parent or approval as a parent. Gender reassignment, or knowledge. All those things. Same thing with gender reassignment, hormone therapy. Your 6-year-old kid can go in there and have those procedures done too, or get on a path for that without your consent, knowledge, or approval. This is an unequivocal abomination of our way of life in this country. If these 2 proposals pass, it's going to put us like California and New York, and I just think that's awesome. So I really hope everybody pays close attention to what's in those proposals and read them, because the 100 words that are in there got put over the Supreme Court in the state of Michigan for a reason and got sent out because that language is not in there. It's to fool people. There's no transparency in those proposals at all. You really need to do your homework, and I really hope that everybody does before we vote on this debate.
You haven't identified yourself?
Kevin, nice. Thank you very much, and have a great day, guys.
Okay. Any other comments from the call? I see one more.
Hi, Jennifer Bainey, I'm Guidance Township. Again, thank you for what you do. Again, love going to our house. And I just have one comment regarding human error. We've heard a bit about human error today in Hand County. My comment is, who programs the machines? Humans do. So, thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay, I see one more.
You guys say you have an open mind, and you want to have an open mind. I haven't seen an open mind yet. We run the tabulators. We have rules by the state that we are required to go by. We have rules at the end of the night. If that information doesn't match up, then there's prosecution that we go through. We would welcome any of them to come in, learn our process, work in our precincts, come and see what we do. We're not hiding it. We appreciate all of you being here. You're elected, you know how it works. But to hand count a ballot after I've put in a 23.5-hour day, there's going to be all kinds of errors. I wouldn't want someone to lose an election because they counted wrong. We do test those machines. They do spit out ballots because we make them spit them out. We want to test to make sure you're not overvoting. We want you to know you're undervoting. We want you to know that your ballot is blank. We want you to know that you put in exactly on your ballot what you want recorded. That's why those ballots spit out. And wrong. Thank you very much. And wrong precincts. And wrong, if the ballot is undermarked. Anything. We test for all of that because we're required by law to. We want to make sure that you guys get elected as you're supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Just saying elected or not.
Okay.
No.
There's an RFP to follow. And so now would be time for commissioners to make comments. We start with Commissioner Zender. The newest number 4.
What a lovely space to have this and when we did it. Hopefully the next board considers doing this every so often at least.
I know that it's gonna be remaining, so.
I want to thank this board. Today's an appropriate day to do it. We don't always agree, but I think there's always been, at least in my short 2-year stint with you guys, the respect of when we disagree, that we put behind us and move forward. It's been a pleasure working with you guys, and we have a couple more months, so look forward to that, and thanks for all your time.
Commissioner Simon?
I'm gonna start off by saying that Commissioner Kenny introduced the gentleman here on this side of me as the junior commissioner, and I just want to point out, less than 3 months, he will be the senior. We have a short window of time. Also, as echoed by Paul, it's a true pleasure to be in this beautiful building here. And we remember when, before a lot of the restoration, there were false ceilings here. And when we were doing a lot of renovation, we removed the false ceilings, started doing cleanup work. That is original ceilings that they discovered and uncovered in the process. So that also gives you a little bit of a sense of historic. So yeah, cool old courthouse. Speaking of courthouse, before I start my comments, is either the prosecution or the defense or any in that case, I'll make my comments. And some of you have heard it before, but it's appropriate as a reminder, especially in lieu of some of the comments that were said, just to do a little bit of reminder on public sector 101 financing. And so if I said anything that in any way seems to be insulting to those that I'm speaking down, I'm not. And I respect all the comments that were made. I just believe it's important to put some things in context, especially like because we talk about frustration, and I respect the frustration that all staffers feel, in any departments when they're understaffed or when they're underpaid, because that's been the history of Lapeer County for a long time. So we feel frustration when we hear generic comments like, don't you know that if you pay people low wages and you have no staffing, you're going to have turnover and poor service. You need to just pay people more and have more staffing. If it were that easy, and all you had to do was wave a magic wand and make that happen, anybody sitting up here, previous boards, this board, or the next board, would do that. It's important to point out a difference in funding between private sector and public sector. And that is that private sector is what's called expense-driven, and public sector is what's called revenue-driven. So in the private sector, whether you're producing a widget or you're producing a service, you determine what the cost is to do that, what is an acceptable level of profit margin that you want to make on that, and that determines moving forward what you're going to charge. Public sector is reversed, it's just the opposite. The public determines this is how much I'm willing to pay. This is how much I'm willing to be taxed for services. And now, public sector has to live within that and make that work. So that's why we love when we go through budget settings, which is in the process of what we're doing right now. I always like to say everything is a pie chart, because in business, you can expand that pie chart. Now, you might lose customers as a result of it in competition. But in public sector, that pie chart is what it is. Lapeer County has been the 5th lowest taxing jurisdiction of the 83 counties in Michigan for a long, long, long time. That's not something that we say proudly. That's something that we live with. It's not a decision that we make. That's a decision that the Lapeer County residents make. Unlike townships, county governments can't assess. We don't have that authority. So if you want to have a public safety assessment at your township level, you can. We can't. We're restricted from doing that by law. Cities have a different funding source. And I know when we compare what county workers make to what city workers make, our county workers are drastically underpaid. Now, we have just completed a wage analysis, which is going to be implemented in the budget, which we're in the middle of starting to work up now. And so, if that circle can't expand any bigger, if that pie can't expand any bigger, because county government is, like any public sector, is revenue driven, then if you're going to suddenly pay your workers a lot more, something's got to give within that pie, which might mean, and our workers have known this for a while now, going through this process, it might mean less workers and not more. It's always the classic, do we pay more or do we staff more? If we could afford to do one of those two things. We might not even afford to be able to do one of those two things, but if we could afford to do one, what would it be? If we could afford to do both, it would be a perfect world. We had a great recession just a little over a decade ago in which we had to drastically reduce the size of county government to live within the means of our budget that the taxpayers give us. Not because that's something we wanted to do, something we're required to do. Live within a, unlike the federal government, we have a balanced budget. We have to live. There are legal requirements. So this board is going to be going through a tough process right now, and we wanted to know about the process. This is our budget time of the year. You'll see today that in the October session, we actually recess by law instead of adjournment until such time as a budget is adopted. And our budget year is calendar year. So now we're working on the budget for the next year. And this is going to be a unique situation because we're also going to be doing that while incorporating a lot of the knowledge from the wage study. And we'll have department heads that will be coming to us, and they'll be coming before the board. We're talking about some dates, where that's their opportunity in the next week or two to say, I can't live within this budget. I need more people for these reasons, and they have to make their case. One of the things that's difficult for them when they have to make that case is they know that it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. They know that we're not just waving a magic wand and making more money appear from one of the trees in the courthouse. So one of the questions that is going to be asked by the board is, who is going to get less in this piece of the pie? I'm going to dial a bigger piece of the pie to hire more workers. Who is going to get less money and have less workers? We would love to have more deputies, and it took having to go before the public and have a public safety millage to make that happen. We recognize the integrity and the importance of elections and all of the services that the clerks provide. Those are going to be the difficult discussions that we're going to be having over the next process in the budget year. And then, as again, my introduction with the future most senior member of the board, because come January 1st, that is going to be a huge burden placed on all the new faces sitting up here. But suddenly, it's not just about campaigning and making promises and talking about issues at the national level or state level. It's one of the first jobs you have here is a fiduciary responsibility to all your neighbors and all your friends within your community to make sure that their tax dollars are spent wisely. And they are going to have a very difficult first year trying to figure out how to make this all work. Because not only are they looking at having to pay workers an appropriate wage, so our workers are going to have to get paid more. We clearly know that that's going to be a top priority even before staffing. And then, on top of trying to squeeze in adding more staffing, I really fear that they may be looking at another recession. At this time next year, a new board with less than a year's experience is going to have all that burden placed on them. So I just want to put your requests in perspective and let you know we hear you, we hear your frustrations. If there was an easy way to make any of it go away, it would have happened a long time ago. But that's the process. That's just a reminder for everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone who came out. Well, it makes sense that we had dueling discussions during the public comments in the courtroom.
You planned it.
Yeah, planned it that way. Yeah. So, I'm happy we have it here. I think it should hopefully become an annual thing for future commissioners. Consider, especially in October when we get to the budget, I think it just makes sense. Something I've been dying to have. In fact, it was one of the 10 things after my first year in office, and I've heard every commissioner who's here today do the same thing I did. After a year in office, I made a set of 10 goals. They were goals that I made on the election trail and goals that I found out after I came in because things looked a little different after we stepped into office. That was this, having a meeting here was one of my goals. I'm 8 for 10 at this point. I'm hoping to be 9 for 10 very soon, hopefully. Cross my fingers. And I'm happy to say that I'm going to be leaving with a passing grade. So there's that, which not every politician can say, I guess. On some of the political points, I just want to say I encourage everyone to vote no on all three. I know some people have some positive things about number one, but personally, I think term limits inhibit democracy. I think if someone wants to get out of office, then you should get thrown out of office. You shouldn't have arbitrary goals set in place. And as someone who used to work in Lansing for a little while, I can tell you all that term limits do is they get all powerful lobbyists and very little power people. So I say vote no on all three. It's a bad thing. It's a bad bill. They're bad amendments. And some of the issues like abortion should not be done through constitutional amendments, but should instead be done through the legislature where they can deal with more complicated issues. The other thing I'm going to say is since the beginning of September, every weekend from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I've been out knocking doors. I was in our community last 2 weeks. Previous to that, I went down to purple communities across the state. I'm going to be doing it every single weekend for as long as I can from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. because we have to take back the state. I'm going to tell you something right now. I was talking to one of our elected officials early last week, and I told them what I found out, and I did not find out great things. I went down to the city down in Oakland. Governor Whitmer right now, I think it's about to win the election. That's just what I believe. And it's only if we get off our butts and start doing things that we can make a difference. So I encourage everyone who wants to make a change, don't just sit there, don't just complain, don't just go to a rally, go out, knock doors, make phone calls, do what you got to do. And it's going to take a whole effort. So I know it's a little political for this board, but it's something I feel very passionate about, something I've seen. I'm talking to Republican friends who aren't going out anymore. They're disillusioned by certain events, and I tell them, well, we have to get out and do something. Because right now, Democrats, they have out-organized us for the second time in a row. They out-organized us in 2020, they're out-organized in 2022. So we got to get up and do something about that. And I'm willing to lead that effort. Anyone wants to go down there with me, let me know. We'll go down together, we'll start knocking doors, we'll start changing minds. Last thing I just want to make note of, I appreciate, as I said, everyone here. I appreciate this historic courthouse. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes from the meeting today into next year. So as I said, any commissioner, do consider doing this again. It's a great opportunity to show this courthouse off and to make it a true operating courthouse. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Harris.
Yeah, I just have a couple things. We had a senior programs meeting, Tuesday, and they opened up 5 new cases for services. And then something else, was there. They interviewed the social worker, and they're working on the fever place, trying to see how we can get changing things around so we can get some additional help. Also, there's going to be Halloween party here on October 31st at 11 o'clock, and in my city hall at 11 o'clock in the senior center. And that's all I have. Oh, I will be next week. I have doctor's appointments and
We should mention, since we're involved in the historic courthouse committee, we have a gala coming up. Do you have that date?
I don't.
It's in, I think, very early December. I didn't write mine in the right book either. But if you want to help raise money, there will be a very nice event in the courthouse, great food, chance to meet other people who are supportive of this building. I think it's during the week. Well, it could be the first. Yeah, that's what I was saying, of December. Or,
December 1st.
so,
Is it the first?
it is December 1st. Okay, good. Okay, so we would hope that some of our audience would join us and take part in that. Some other comments, questions for administration I do have. Are we still on for our orientation for our new commissioners?
Yes, second week in November.
Okay, so anything in that area will be communicated to the new commissioners or new commissioners elect?
Correct.
Okay, good. I wanted to also thank Brandon again for getting us here, and I agree with you. I hope we can conduct at least one meeting a year here, and potentially some others. Though there are challenges, obviously, like sound, but
And hard seats.
for the audience. Ours aren't too bad. I'd like to thank the local clerks who came. I think that might be a first, where we've had so many clerks join us. Have you present weighing in on the issue of election security. Yes, in the October session, until we have a budget, we declare a recess, right?
You are correct.
Okay, so we don't need a vote on recess.
Do not adjourn. Do not let Kyle adjourn the meeting.
Right.
We are going into recess. So that is good, brain in my head, I got it, you cannot adjourn. We are recessing.
I will not ask for a vote. I will just declare this meeting recess. Until next Thursday.